There was a huge shooting yesterday. I'll see if there's anything about this right here. So at least 12 dead. Now there are 16 people that have been killed.
Fox News alert: at least 12 people are
Everybody's
dead after
running.
a horrific
See?
mass shooting at a Hanukkah celebration in Sydney, Australia. Police in Australia now calling this shooting a terror attack.
Okay. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst is here with the latest. Good morning, Trey.
Yeah, guys, good morning. There's been a terrorist attack in Sydney, Australia at Bondi Beach. Authorities say at least 12 people were killed and 29 others wounded when two gunmen opened fire.
Now it's up to 16.
On crowds of Jews at a Hanukkah event.
Wow.
Local police have released a statement saying, quote, 2 people are in police custody at Bondi Beach. However, the police operation is ongoing, and we continue to urge people to avoid the area. Please obey all police directions. Do not cross police lines. This event was scheduled to start at 5 p.m. local time.
Yeah, it really is. And somebody else linked me, one of my mods linked me this right now. Breaking: Hamas supporters are attacking a Hanukkah concert in Amsterdam. This apparently is happening at this very moment. So, not a good time to be a Jew right now.
I'm in Sydney and was advertised as an event for all ages with music,
What the fuck?
games,
That's
and
what they
fun.
say.
One man describes what he heard and saw close to the scene of the shooting.
The whole shop just like stood up and we all just ran into the back exit.
That's what I do.
Everyone was pushing everyone. There was no like semblance and we just ran in through.
Yeah.
Authorities say one of the gunmen is dead. They are still investigating the specifics surrounding this terrorist attack that targeted...
I'm appalled by the murderous shooting attack at the Hanukkah event in Sydney, Australia. These are the results of the anti-Semitic rampage on the streets of Australia over the past 2 years, and with the anti-Semitic inciting calls of globalize the intifada that were realized today, the Australian government... Well, I mean, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I do think that... very obviously, the massive uptick in Jew hate probably played a role at this to some degree. It did. Probably, to some degree, it played a role.
Jews in Australia, but we are now getting reaction from Israeli ministers, including Gideon Sa'ar, Israel's foreign minister, who said in a statement, quote, I'm appalled by the murderous shooting attack at a Hanukkah event in Sydney, Australia. These are the results of the anti-Semitic rampage in the streets of Australia over the past 2 years, with the anti-Semitic and inciting calls of globalize the intifada that were realized today. The Australian government, which received countless warning signs, must come to its senses. We're also getting reports in Israeli media right now that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to give a statement in the coming minutes about this horrific attack in Australia.
I think that Israel does play a role in this happening, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm victim blaming with this, because I'm not. But I do think that it's true that Israel, killing a bunch of people in Palestine absolutely has caused, it's caused so many people to be radicalized against Jewish people in general. That they have, and I think this is undeniable. And I understand, like, oh, don't talk about this right now. Like, I don't give a shit, right? I don't care. You want to tone police me? You're at the wrong place. The fact is that yes, I think that this has radicalized people. It's obvious. It's obvious this is what's happened. So, like, I don't want to hear about Israel and, like, what Israel thinks about this, because Israel is a country that's operating in its own best interest, and I think that that comes at the expense of a lot of these, like, international Jewish people because of how much they've damaged that reputation. And again, I don't think that's fair for people to have that viewpoint, but it doesn't change the fact that they have that viewpoint. It's undeniable that this viewpoint is held by millions of people. Get mad about it, say it shouldn't be that way. You're right. You're right about everything, but it's still true.
But again, the latest information that we have from Australian authorities, 12 people are dead and at least 29 wounded following this terrorist attack that targeted Jews at a Hanukkah event. Guys, back to you.
And Trey, you mentioned, we could hear from Prime Minister Netanyahu following the Australian Prime Minister, Albanese. His initial statement that went out a few hours ago makes no mention of this being related to a Hanukkah celebration or anti-Semitism. Has the Australian Prime Minister given more indication about that?
Muslims are the reason, not Israel? I think that the guy that shot them was a Muslim. I think that people think that. So in this case, you're right. what I'm saying isn't a lie. And if you can't see the interconnected and the interplay nature of like what I'm saying, you're just being an emotional retard. You're being an emotional retard. It's very clear that Israel's actions over the years have caused a souring viewpoint of Jewish people in the entire world. This is undeniable. If you don't think that's true, you are living based off of ideological perspective and you are not in reality.
He hasn't. And look, we should be very clear, based on the information that we have, this was a targeted attack going after Jews who are celebrating the first night of Hanukkah in Australia. There is horrific video circulating showing some of the victims who are clearly Jewish in this attack.
Trey, bear with us for one moment. I believe we can dip in live to Australian Prime Minister Albanese holding a press conference now. watch this with us, and we'll come back to you.
There are nights that tear at our nation's soul. In this moment of darkness, we must be each other's light. Hold on to the true character of the country that we love. Australia is stronger than the cowards who attacked innocent people today. Australia is braver than those who seek to make us afraid. Australia will never submit to division, violence or hatred. We will see justice done and we will come through this together. I'd ask Acting Deputy Commissioner Ryan to make some comments and then Director General Burgess.
I don't know who's this.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Firstly, our thoughts go out to the families and communities that have been affected by this senseless attack today. The AFP stands next to the New South Wales Police and with ASIO in our joint counter-terrorism arrangements, and we'll put all resources we can, all our specialist powers, all our specialist resources towards ensuring that this matter is investigated as thoroughly as possible. In relation to the joint counter...
Weak men create hard times. You can say it's because of Israel's actions, but the real far the morons that allowed themselves to be victimized by thinking what Israel does equals what all Jewish people do and want. I agree with you. I think that it's ridiculous, but I think that it's true. Like, the problem is that when you're explaining human nature, you have to acknowledge that certain things that are ridiculous and unfair exist and are the reason why things happen. Like, something can simultaneously be true and wrong at the same time.
Terrorism team, we have heard that there has been a declaration of a terrorist incident that will enable the AFP, along with ASIO and New South Wales Police, to use specialist powers in relation to this investigation. I don't wish to speculate in relation to any of the information that is currently known. This matter is ongoing. It is in its early stages, and we will continue to work with New South Wales Police to ensure that it's investigated as best as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Nigel. Thanks, PM. ASIO was also a member of the Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, and our principal role at this stage is to support the police in their ongoing investigation.
Somebody goes, bro, if you agree with him, point that out. People that conflate the two issues, the main catalyst for a shit show. Nah, dude, what Israel did was understandable considering the October 7th event. The USA would have obliterated Gaza if the rules were reversed. Oh, you're completely right. You're totally right. If they had done that to America or they had done that to China, imagine what Gaza would look like today. It's undeniable. Like, it's not even, like, I agree with you about that, but at the end of the day, you could say that's another example of the same thing that I'm saying.
But at the same time, as is standard practice for us, we are looking at the identities of the attackers, and where that is known, we're looking to see if there's anyone in the community that has similar intent. It's important to stress at this point we have no indications to that fact, but that is something we have active investigations on. The national terrorism threat level remains...
The big problem that these people have is that there is a lot of, and I think that, and I said this at the beginning of the show, and so I'll say it again, is that Western culture right now has a deliberate blind spot for Islamic extremism and Islamic terrorism inside of Western countries. The reason why they have a deliberate blind spot is they think that going after obvious and very well expressed viewpoints that are like radical terrorist ideology, that kind of stuff is like, you can't go after that. You can't call that what it is, because if you do, then that's racist or Islamophobic. Number one, Islamophobia isn't a real word. It's never been a word. The only reason why the word exists is to stop people from criticizing a religion. And I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. If you have a religion, it is not immune from criticism. That's outrageous. So the big problem is that Western countries do a worse job than Middle Eastern or like Muslim countries in the regards of dealing with these extremists, right? Is because in the UAE or these other countries, they go immediately after these guys. They totally shut them down, and they take the imams that are preaching this stuff and they put them in fucking jail, right? If they're preaching terrorism or they're preaching actual violence, that's what happens. But because the West isn't able to do that because they're afraid of being called a name, we let this stuff get more radical than it has to be. And so if we had just approached this from like a neutral, rational, logical position, we would be able to deal with it easily. But unfortunately, we're not able to do that because, oh, well, Islam is like a primarily brown people religion. And so criticizing Islam is being racist. And this is the mentality and the cage that literally probably tens of millions of people in America have put themselves in. So it's really, really hard to, and this is also true in Europe too. It's true in like the UK, for example. Like Europe obviously is a big place. Like it's true in the UK. It seems like it's true in France too as well. Is that really getting rid of this kind of stuff is a no-brainer. It's a total no-brainer. It's obviously you should put people like this that are preaching like jihad and violence and stuff like this, you should put them in jail. It's like not even a question. But the problem is that they don't want to do that because they're afraid to do that. Islamophobia is real, actually. It's not. It's not real. Being afraid of an ideology isn't a phobia. In order for you to put that on the same level as like racism or like, you know, like homophobia or something like that, it's just simply, it's not how can you have an irrational fear of an idea? It's retarded. And so, no, it's an invented word that's made to make people shut up and not be able to express themselves. What do you call hatred towards Muslims then? The same as you call hatred towards Christians. People don't like their religion. A disagreement. Somebody reads the Quran, they don't like what it says. You don't need to instantly label them. That's just a person that disagrees with it. A preference? Yeah, an opinion. Yeah, hatred's not fear, exactly. What about Jews then? Well, if you're criticizing, in my opinion, Jews is more complicated because Jewish people are an ethnicity and a religion. So if you're criticizing the religion, then there's nothing wrong with it and it's not anti-Semitic. If you're criticizing the ethnic group of Jewish people that are, you know, Semitic people of that area, then yes, it's racist. This is simple, plain logic, and anybody that can't understand it is retarded. Well, the radical Muslims don't really agree with the Quran either. That's not up to me to debate. At the end of the day, if you have a group of people that is hyper radical and violent, you need to address it directly. You can't be afraid of being called a word and then let it get worse.
Probable. I don't see that changing at this stage. Probable means there is a 50% chance of an act of terror, and unfortunately we've seen that horrific act occur tonight in Australia. Thank you.
Yeah, seems that way.
A few questions. Charles?
Prime Minister, you've called this terror. Are you aware of any other terror threats at the moment, and what's your message to Jewish Australians
Let's skip ahead.
who may not feel safe?
And officials there want to bring in Trey Yingst back from Tel Aviv as you follow this. And Trey, it seems that obviously we now hear the Prime Minister declaring it an act of terror.
Yep.
A lot of questions from the press there about whether or not his government is taking the threat of anti-Semitism seriously enough. It's 10:30 p.m. on Sunday night there in Sydney. They've had...
The problem is that they let violent people, like, and the issue also is that there is a contingency, it's not the majority, but there's a contingency of the Free Palestine movement that do actually hate Jews. It's true. And they're out there, they say it, And yes, some of the people mean from the river to the sea. They mean, okay, this is like just an ideology of a two-state solution, and there's like a common, like understanding. But there's a lot of other people out there, and again, they might lie and tell you that, oh no, nobody thinks that. They obviously think that. Look at how they talk about Jewish people on the internet. Look about how they talk about people that are Jewish in these like chants that they have. Yeah, there are a lot of them that are like that. And the problem is that their mind is from the river to the sea. Guess what that actually means? Look at the geography. It means Israel doesn't exist. That's what a lot of them are advocating for. Absolutely. It probably isn't even a majority. But the problem is that it's enough of them in order for it to be a problem on social media. And it's enough of them that there is a culture that is around this that is agreeable. And people feel comfortable and confident being this way.
Hours to sort of process this. But the takeaway that I took from what we just heard, Trey, was the official saying that with the counterterrorism team, that the threat level's still at probable, that there is a 50% chance or better that there could be an ongoing.
I honestly think from river to sea, all those that mean it, not just some innocent don't know thing. I don't know about that. I think a lot of people don't even know what's being discussed in that regard.
Threat.
They just say
Australia's Prime Minister formally declaring this an act of terrorism targeting Jews, saying that he stands with the Jewish community of Australia. But that last question you heard there from a reporter is a very important question that Australia's Prime Minister did not answer. And he was talking about guaranteeing the safety of Jews in Australia, because Israeli officials have already come out and said over the past several weeks that they have warned the Australian government about the possibility of attacks targeting the Jewish community in Australia, and yet the security state there had not rose to the level at which it could to stop an attack like the one.
Here's the reality. If you import a bunch of people that have a radical religion that is built off of a hundreds of years, centuries of years blood feud with another religion, if you import a lot of those people into your country, you're going to have problems like this. This is undeniable. It's such a common sense perspective, but for some reason, this is the issue, is that you're not able to discuss things like this because people are too afraid to. That's what it is. You can't bring a bunch of these people into the country and then expect all of them are going to just assimilate. Now, if it was up to me, I wouldn't do this at all. Like, I would take 0 refugees. I would take 0 of these people, period. Because a lot of these people are, some of them at least, are extremists. And do we really need more religious extremists in the country? Absolutely not.
Took place today that took the lives of 12 innocent people, of Jews who were celebrating the first night of Hanukkah. And so we can expect in the hours...
I think also there's like a degree of like Western naivete to think that, oh, well, everybody is just going to get along. What are you, fucking retarded? Oh, well, they'll understand. Like, and everybody could just get along and it'll be okay. And, like, it's like, oh, well, like people can just learn to live together. No, they can't. Some of them can't. And enough of them can't that it's a problem. And you can run from it. You can be like, oh, this isn't true. It's not true. But you're going to keep having these shootings. These shootings, here's what I can guarantee you. This will only become more common. This is the best that it's going to get right now. It's going to keep getting worse.
In days ahead, a lot of statements not only from Australian officials, but also from Israeli officials commenting on the security situation and also the rise of anti-Semitism, not only in Australia, but around the world. And this has led not only to attacks, as we saw this horrific terrorist attack today, but in other places, the murder of those 2 Israeli embassy employees in Washington, D.C., the attack against Jews who were peacefully demonstrating in Colorado. This is a systematic issue that continues to be a problem across the world. And today, what we learned was that the Australian authorities say they are standing with Jews there in Australia, but these questions...
Well, they're not standing with Jews at all. They're not standing with anybody. They're standing with radical religious extremist zealots and ideological zealots that think that Jews have some kind of, like blood accountability to Israel. And so they look at bad actions Israel has done or they think Jews have done historically, and then they assign that to every Jewish person. That's what's happening. That's clearly what's happening. And I don't know why there's so much effort and work being done in order to pretend like this isn't what's happening. If you want to stop the anti-Semitism, you have to go after the people that are advocating to kill Jews. That's what, if you want to go after anti-Semitism, you have to find the people and, but it's their religion. This is a religious expression. Okay, sounds good. Go back. Wherever you came from, go back. And you can express yourself over there. This is crazy, insane that we're putting up with this bullshit.
Will continue. The latest information, though, Griff, that we have about this attack that took place, there was a Hanukkah event at Bondi Beach that was set
anyone expressing to kill, remove them as soon as possible. Yeah, but they're afraid to do that. I think things are going to have to get a lot worse in order for the public to be fed up with this. I do. And your guys, we have to look forward to more mass shootings, more terrorist attacks, more third world ideological blood feuds that are coming to Western countries and then playing a role in our elections. You're going to have to get used to it, guys, because it's going to get worse. The reason why it's going to get worse is because people don't realize how bad it is. Most people don't understand the problem until the problem affects them directly.
Start at 5 p.m. local time in Australia. After that event...
Import the third world, become the third world? Exactly. You shouldn't be taking anybody from these third world countries at all.
And to light the menorah, the first night of Hanukkah, these two gunmen approached the event and opened fire on a crowd of Jews. Australian authorities say 12 people were killed and 29 others wounded. There are a number of prominent Jewish individuals who were there, including one individual who we've actually interviewed on Fox before, Arsen Ostrovsky, a man that I've met at Hostage Square here in Israel. And just a few weeks ago, he traveled to Australia to work on fighting...
They weren't immigrants. One of them had a gun license for more than a decade. I think that in some cases that's true. But I think that overall, I don't know, like, were the parents immigrants? Like, this has been a problem that they have created. It's not like if you bring somebody over and then they have a kid here, that kid is just instantly going to be like Western ideology. I'm not going to kill people for a religion, like, mindset. It doesn't happen. Like, I know that, like, again, we all want to believe in this blank slate and all of this stuff. That's not the way it works. It's never going to be the way it works either. Second generation are often more extreme. Yeah, a lot of people say that. A lot of people say that in general. And apparently people are telling me that apparently these shooters was like a father and a son. It's not about Jewish people. It happens every year during December. The mass run-over events will sadly happen again in the next few weeks. Well, it's happening at this very moment, apparently in Germany, I believe.
Anti-Semitism on the ground, and he was wounded in this terrorist attack. One image that he approved for circulation showed his bloodied face after he dove to the ground when these gunmen opened fire on this crowd of people at Bondi Beach. And so this is not an isolated incident. This issue of rising anti-Semitism around the world is now playing out again with violence against Jews. And for the first night of Hanukkah, we know that Israelis are going to gather at Frishman Beach here in Tel Aviv to have a vigil for their fellow citizens and those who were affected by this horrific terrorist attack in Australia.
So, Trey, in the hours since that attack, we've seen on social media videos that purport to show a bystander taking down one of the gunmen. Is there any indication that those videos are real?
We'll watch this.
I know that at Fox we have not verified them yet. To use them, do you have...
There are some kids that have apparently agreed with political violence. It's worrying. Well, the only reason why it's worrying, see, like, to me, it's not worrying at all, because there's a way you deal with that. You just put them in a box, and you put the people that are saying it in a box too, and then the problem goes away. It's actually really easy. But the problem is that nobody wants to do that because people are so There are so many levels of abstraction from the consequence of people's values that people's values have become destructive to society. People have all of these value systems that are totally destructive to average society. And the reason why they have the value systems is that they never have to actually be held accountable for them. So that's why I said that it has to get worse in order for things to change, is because until these people are having their supermarkets run over, until they're having people open up fire in, their schools and having this happen in general, and it just gets worse overall, and they're getting bullied and pushed around, and you have groups of people that are celebrating it, like whenever people in your community are being murdered, then maybe you're going to take it seriously whenever you're afraid for your own life. It's because most people's politics and values are completely self-referential. Most people don't have any political views other than things that reinforce their own worldview, their own position in life, and also the position that they think that they should be in life. So, like, for example, a lot of the people that are like, oh, well, I hate billionaires and I hate all these, capitalism and everything. The main reason why people hate capitalism is because they don't have any capital. That's the big reason. It's not that complicated. So once you understand that the majority of people's political values and their ideologies and everything that they believe is just in service of them getting what they want, and I understand this is a very cynical view of the way people's values are, but I think it's true, is that they don't really have these. This is the reason why a lot of rich people think that they earned it. Well, the reason why is because they don't want to come to the reality that maybe you also did have a lot of structural advantages as well that gave you an edge over other people that never had the chance to compete against you. So again, that's another example of people that have a worldview that reinforces their hegemony in the world. That's just the way it is. What a big take. It's true. It's absolutely true. And it will continuously be true over and over and over, and it will never not be true. That's why I said, for all of these, illegal aliens, what I would have done is I would have shipped all of them to the places that have the highest voting capacity for making illegal alien areas okay. I would say, you know what? We're going to have a vote, and for anybody who is against the ICE raids, the places that have the highest ratio of people that are against the ICE raids, I am going to ship so many illegal immigrants into your area that it will destabilize your entire fucking community, and it will make your life a living hell. Because if you do that, then they will change. Because it will happen to them. Accelerationism? Absolutely. Absolutely accelerationism. Yeah, can we do that? Yeah, and that's what you should do. That's exactly how you should handle them. So did you say immigrants are evil, all of them? I don't think immigrants are evil. I actually think that a lot of the majority of immigrants are good people, and they're just trying to come to the country to do what they want, but to have a better life. But I don't care about them having a better life. It's not relevant to me. I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, they're not supposed to be here, and we have people here that don't have a better life, and I'd rather focus on them. It's that simple.
Anything you can tell us on that?
It's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah, we have reviewed one video that appears to be authentic, showing a bystander.
Because I'm not 12 years old.
He approaches one of these gunmen. These gunmen are dressed in black, and they are shooting indiscriminately into these crowds of people. And one of these bystanders hides behind the bumper of a car. And when the gunman is firing in a direction off to his left, the bystander approaches this gunman, wraps his arm around him, and pulls the gun.
I'll go back, and apparently we can look at this later on, but he's explaining it. I would rather just show it myself. So take a look at this clip. This is nuts.
I believe we're...
Let me see where the clip is here. Yeah, watch this.
With more, though. Thank you so much for your company.
So this is the shooter. Look at this guy, right? Watch this. Absolute fucking patriot here.
And we will return with more, though. Thank you so much for your...
So, see, he's hiding right there. Watch, he moves up.
From this disaster, this dark day in
fucking grabs him.
We'll continue after this short break.
Gets the rifle, pushes him away. Should have shot him in the fucking head. God damn, that's the only thing I can criticize. What a fucking legend. Balls of steel? Absolutely. Oh my god. Should have killed him? Absolutely. He did shoot him. He's a pacifist? Big mistake. And can he immigrate to America? Yeah, that's who we need. Exactly.
You just saw there the video, a little bit, a clip
Deserves
of the
an
video that
award.
we've
He
been talking
does.
about that has been circulating online.
He's a Muslim too,
where
Giga Chad.
you had-
Well, I said this before. I'll say it again. The main victims of the West's suicidal empathy towards radical Islam, the primary victims to the allowance of radical Islam, given a long enough timeline, will be regular average Muslims that just generally want to live their life. Not all Muslims are radical terrorists. There's a lot of them that just simply want to live in America because it's a better place. And also, a lot of the main Muslim countries, again, they are even harder on radical Islam than we are. They are. And all of these people are going to get grouped together. They are. And that's the main reason why it's important to not say that it's Islamophobia. The reason why is that all of Islam is not the same. If it was, then they wouldn't be killing each other all the time. But it is. The same as Christianity. Christians have been killing each other forever. Muslims have been killing each other forever. They all interpret the book a little bit differently. So this, like, the premise of this is just immediately dismisses itself. Just think about it for 3 seconds. Shia and the Sunni hate one another? They do. Iran is Shia. Saudi Arabia is Sunni Muslim. The majority, I believe, of the countries are Sunni Muslim. And it looks like, I think, Iran and I don't know actually the other ones that are Shia Muslim. But yeah, classic religion wars? Yes, 100%.
The shooter firing on Australians, Jews celebrating Hanukkah on the beach, firing on them, and a bystander crouching behind a car coming up and tackling
absolutely
the shooter
fucking based.
and wrestling the gun away from the shooter.
Yep.
Yeah, and that report there, you could hear
Want more branches in Islam?
Sky
I know they are.
News reporter.
Like in the same way that like I only know like 2 or 3 branches in Islam, there's probably a lot of Muslims that only know 2 or 3 branches in Christianity, right? Of course, because it's not my default, right? In the same way that like Christianity might not be your default. But yeah, I get it.
Just the angst and the
sure.
the sorrow and the amount of emotion that the community in Sydney and Bondi Beach are feeling. It's just about 45 minutes after midnight Sydney
Our
time
default build?
there.
Yeah.
And you did see that video, as you pointed out, Charlie, of this bystander. Trey alluding to, I am seeing reporting, Fox has not confirmed that Good Samaritan may also have been actually injured.
I bet he was injured.
To stop that.
He was.
And that will be an interesting
no doubt.
Trey said
part of this story.
They will hopefully be able to track down that guy.
Yeah.
And we can give
by the
more
way,
information
not just a
about
Good Samaritan. That's a hero. That's an absolute hero.
That has the shooters have to know it ends with them getting killed, right? Well, that's the problem is that in a lot of religions, and Islam is one of them, there is a subset of that religion that says that basically if you die while trying to advocate for the proliferation, or if you die in service of the religion, you will go to whatever the afterlife is for that religion. So like whether this is a jihad, a crusade, some other bullshit from another religion I don't even know about, at the end of the day, if you have people that are subscribing to that ideology, you're going to have a problem.
Tackling the guy with the gun.
It's not true. It obviously is true. It's obviously true that a ton of people think that if they die in service of their religion, they're going to go to heaven. This is undeniable. You're retarded if you don't think this is an obvious reality that many people believe.
And the terrorist with the gun,
like
wrestling the gun
just
away,
that simple.
Valhalla, yeah. To shoot at
I mean,
him, although he did,
this isn't a new idea.
He had escaped and then was captured after.
And this
is
right here.
coordinated. I mean, you had 2 guys. You had 2 men, who we presume, as our last guest, Mary Eisen, said, came in a car and possibly had other weapons in the car.
And the footage we were just showing shows that pedestrian walkway that appears to go between over to that busy highway that our witness said
Buddhism has that no,
people
I don't
had
know.
to flee across
sure.
to get out of the line of fire. And that bridge, that elevated bridge right there, is where one of the suspects was firing from, and then the other one had gone down, was on a grassy area along the beach, and that's where he got tackled. We've seen other video.
Supposed to get 79 virgins.
Appears to be the shooter.
Yeah, you can get 72 or 79 virgins right now. All you have to do is become a moderator of a subreddit.
One of the shooters, perhaps the deceased.
You don't have to get killed for that.
Among,
you can live in paradise today.
Bridge, which leads you to think that that's probably the second shooter who is deceased, and the other one was maybe detained.
And you mentioned the logistics of this shooting and where it took place. Someone who certainly knows a lot about understanding those things is Israeli Special Operations veteran Aaron Cohen, who joins us
gun.
now. Aaron, this was clearly, by admission by the Australian officials, a targeted attack. But speak to us
Seems that way
about this target, Bondi Beach.
So there's a couple of things to unpack here. I agree and disagree with Miri on certain things, your previous guest. Here's where I'm at with this. I do believe that this was a lone wolf attack. I think these were lone wolves. But when we talk about lone wolves, we typically tend to picture isolated individuals who are acting on their own. And in reality, many of these so-called lone actors, guys, are not operationally directed, but they are ideologically
connected. Yeah, they're connected.
And encouraged and validated by America's enemies, our foreign adversaries.
It's just shut the fuck up, retard. It has nothing to do with America's allies or enemies or something like that. It has to do with radical groups on the internet that have crazy viewpoints. Like, there's no reason to compartmentalize this problem into it being like an America good, everybody else bad situation. It's just stupid, it's reductive, it's misleading, and it's destructive.
I want to talk about Iran. They have been one of the most active state sponsors of this model, spiking our algorithm, tossing that rage bait up, hijacking that comment section. And so while you might have many peaceful, quiet Muslims...
I don't want to listen to this piece of shit. Actually, let's listen to him. But you know what? I probably should. I probably should listen to him because I should call it out. What a disgusting fucking loser. He's a moron. Yes. No, it's not all rage bait. Like, this entire premise that people put out, that the reason why young people have lost credibility and lost interest in Israel is because of, like, some propaganda bullshit, is totally, it's not true. It's just simply not true at all.
Muslims who live in Australia, they don't need to task, Iran doesn't need to task an attacker directly. They just need to hand someone a weapon in that ideology and allow them to believe that it's okay to...
I think that he's right, but he's wrong in saying that it's Iran, like, unilaterally. I don't think that you need a global international conspiracy to come to the conclusion that radical extremist groups gas up members of their community to go out and influence and push their will. Like, you don't need to do that.
Attack Jews on Hanukkah.
You're blaming Iran. Yeah, what are we talking about?
This propaganda, amplifying the anti-Semitic narratives to glorify this violence and create that digital ecosystem where unstable and aggrieved individuals like these two shooters are nudged towards that action. And that's
what I hate about this guy is the fact that he's halfway completely right, and I think he's halfway completely wrong. I think that he's pushing the facts, but he's pushing them with a distorted viewpoint that paints them in a lens that I think is almost antithetical, directly oppositional to the way that things actually are.
Recruitment. And that's what I think we just saw play out right here. And I think we're seeing the same type of behavioral, ideologically grievance-motivated, online, digitally influenced attack with the Brown shooter as well. That might not be Iran, but it's the internet that is driving these lone...
Okay, there you go. Yeah, all right, now we're talking.
Wolves to that operational open fire stage. So that's where I'm at with the digital side of this thing with both of these.
Aaron, we want to play for you that video that we saw on Sky News that Charlie was just talking about. We now
pushing to conveniently
are able
have
to
truth.
show you this. So this is a video of a bystander, a good Samaritan, it appears, that you see coming from around the car, seems to tackle the gunman there. And then as it goes, he's sort of holding them off. And then just off to the right of your screen, there is apparently another of the attackers that
should have shot him.
May have shot this Good Samaritan. But as you watch this video, what do you make of it?
Should have shot him.
Well, I saw a civilian taking action, moving from passive to reactive. Obviously, it looks like it was one of the guests. It looks like it could have been one of the Chabad members. I can't tell if he's got tzitzi or tatelim or if he's a member of that particular gathering for Hanukkah at the beach there. But
who knows?
He moved into action. He's not reacting. He's not waiting. You know, when you've got two forces and one person is more aggressive. First of all, you had the element of surprise. Came up around that vehicle, got on the individual, was able to strip the weapon away, may have some training, may not, but pushing action and being aggressive is the only way to deal with somebody who's actively engaging and firing a weapon. He took great risk to himself.
He did.
Didn't have to. That individual is a hero.
Absolutely. 100%.
And needs to be applauded.
Totally agree.
And saved who knows how 100%. Many dozens of lives because of what he did. So obviously it's a very, very big deal here. But guys, I want to talk about where we're at.
It's not even confirmed he was Muslim, by the way. No, as far as I know, I don't think that people know about that for sure or not.
All this stuff. We're in this reactive space, whether it's Australia, whether it's Brown. The problem here is that we don't have 2025 solutions. Or we have 2005 solutions for 2025 threats. We've got all of this digital. We've got all of these adversaries, Iran, China, CCP, making everybody absolutely nuts online.
This guy's just advocating indirectly for internet censorship. He's just a retard. There's no reason why this is and also you can see that he doesn't really want to remove propaganda. He wants to remove disagreeable propaganda. So, you know, I'm sure from his viewpoint, if there's something that's pro-Israel, that's okay. But if it's pro-China, it's not. In my opinion, if you can't win people over in the free marketplace of ideas, you've got to find out why. Because until you can do that, you're going to have problems.
And we have to start getting in front of these threats. This reactive model is getting people killed.
It is.
The only way to get in front
of these
threats,
solution?
80% of these attackers leak online. The only way to get in front of these threats is to make sure that law enforcement is
whenever you find it out, you just find the person and you put them in jail. That's it. You put them in a mental institution, and it's like, well, you're posting about shooting people. This is weird. You're going to go to a mental institution. Problem solved. Like there's no reason that we as a society have to tolerate anybody. Like there's no universe where saying that you're going to go out and commit a mass murder event is something that our society should tolerate for any reason. Like my viewpoint is that if somebody's out there on social media saying that, we just go arrest them and we put them in a mental institution indefinitely. Maybe we need to shock the shit out of them, drug the shit out of them, lobotomize them. I don't care. But at this point, that person is a danger to the rest of society. And I don't want to live in a world where I have to be worried that one of these like crazy retarded animals is going to fly off the fucking handle and start shooting people. It's at best, it's mental illness. Yeah, and no matter what, they don't need to be in public. There'll be enough spaces for those people. The internet's wild. I think that you'd really be surprised. I think that the moment that we start actually locking these people up, it's going to go down by like 99%. Because most people don't want to get locked in a box. Freedom of speech, though? Freedom of speech was never and is never in like it's like whenever you're talking about I'm going to go out and kill a bunch of people, that's not freedom of speech. That's not the way it works. It's never been the way it works.
This intelligence upstream, and so we need to be looking at models like Gideon, my platform, so we can get law enforcement that pre-attack guys. Every one of these attackers leak online. We need to start finding the signal.
That's
where I come out with all this.
So
well, a lot of people that bad-faced arguments is why things never get better. Ban them. I probably should. At very least, they should be investigated and analyzed. I can imagine an edgy teenager or a kid saying things for clout or a bad joke or just a hyperbolic rant. Hyperbolic rants and here's a great example. How many kids nowadays, how many people call 911 or 911 just as a prank call? Basically none. Basically none unless they're doing like a swatting. Like, kids don't do that anymore. And do you know why? It's because the consequence for doing that is so severe that they're afraid to. That's the reason why. Consequences and rules inform behavior. And if you understand that, you can just simply change behavior. Because you just create a consequence that is so bad, so dangerous, that nobody will fuck with it.
Aaron, when you look at that video right there, you can see the shooter, you see the gun that he's using. Obviously, Australia has had one of the most aggressive programs in the world for confiscating weapons from civilians, from regular citizens.
It doesn't matter if you take people's weapons away. People will be able to 3D print guns now, and they can already do it. They've been able to do it for a long time. But soon, whenever we have the technology and it gets even better, people will be able to 3D print guns, and the entire idea of gun control is going to go away. That's just what's going to happen. I mean, it's already happening, and it's just, you think 3D printers and this type of technology is just like, it's going to stop being good? It's crazy.
What can you tell us from looking at that video about the weapons, or at least this weapon that we're seeing here that were used by these attackers?
Anything's easy to do.
My camera's just over here, and I'm looking at the
Probably
footage.
harder to do bullets, but it doesn't matter.
I see shotguns.
We'll
First
figure
of all,
out a
there's
way.
multiple weapons that were brought to the scene here. I looked at some of the shell casings that were on the ground at the bridge. It looked like it was some 30-06. I saw some shotgun shells, some 12 gauge.
Why not regulate 3D printers, bro? Do you remember what I was saying the other day about how, like, this is going to be dumb. Do you remember, like, I was talking about Ashes of Creation, and I was talking about how whenever you have to create 7 different layers and levels of systems in order to regulate one type of behavior, maybe you should think to yourself, we should try to get rid of that behavior rather than try to constantly micromanage it. I think that's a great example of it. So you create a Russian nesting doll of problems, regulations, rules, controls, and everything like this whenever the real problem is crazy people that are causing problems. It doesn't matter how many barriers of entry you put, you're going to still have crazy people causing problems at the core, and they will just find a new way to cause problems. It's the same as, like, now they're trying to ban sharp knives, sharp-pointed knives in the UK. At what point do you realize that maybe the problem is the people and not the items? It's crazy. Do you think the act of genocide could be the cause of anti-Semitism instead of inflammatory online rhetoric? I think that the genocide does have a big factor. I think it does play a big role, but it does so in a way that's not justifiable. Like, basically, any violence or hostility to American or Australian Jews because of the actions of Israel is equivalent to violence or hostility towards American or Australian Arabs because of 9/11. The fact is that Jews and Arabs, Muslims and Jewish people are simply not a monolith. They don't have like a Discord that they're all in and they're like, okay, we're blowing it up tomorrow morning, right? Don't go to school tomorrow, we're blowing it up. That's not the way it works. So yes, obviously Israel's actions have radicalized people in the same way that I think China, apparently COVID came from China. I think that radicalized people against Asians to a degree. And I think that whenever 9/11 happened, people hated Muslims and they hated Arabs. But all 3 of these examples are basically systematic discrimination. And while it exists, it should not be seen as a good thing. You see what my point is, right? Like, your argument is it's valid, but like we shouldn't look at it as like it's true, but it's stupid.
casings. There was multiple weapons that were brought. There were also ammo dump pouches that were brought so that these guys could keep firing and reloaded. And it sounds like there was 50 or 60 shots that were taken. This was premeditative. These guys were taking their time. They were there to murder. And when I look at all the weapons that are spread out here, what it tells me from the weapons side here is that Australia, while it has some of the strictest gun laws in the world, shotguns, hunting shotguns or sports shotguns are also difficult to get, but they're a little bit easier. But it tells you that these guys are going to get whatever weapons they can. Right.
You can't stop people from getting guns. And also, like, even if you stop people from getting guns, you can't stop them from getting something else that they can kill people with, like a car. You have to address the disease and not the symptoms.
Outlawing weapons is not going to keep these guys from opening fire. And whether they're loading shotguns and they're pumping, and it's tough to tell from the video, the fact is they're still able to get weapons even though it's restricted. So it just goes to show you the laws don't work. But thank God that guy was able to jump on that weapon and stop that shooter.
I think that it's undeniable that if we had gun control laws as strict as Australia, I think that our gun deaths would go down. And I think that Republicans and right-wing people have a really stupid argument, because it's obvious that if you get rid of a lot of the guns, you're going to have less people killing each other with guns. This is undeniable. But and here's the problem, is that it's true that people will die if you allow people to have guns. But I think it's better for that to happen than for people to not have guns. That should be the viewpoint that people have, rather than this fake world where, oh, well, the amount of guns don't have any sort of a factor on the amount of shootings with guns. Obviously it does. Obviously that's going to happen. The Charlie Kirk take? Yeah. And this is the way you easily can. Yeah, I prefer no guns. I mean, in my opinion, I'm a big Second Amendment enjoyer. I think the Second Amendment is great, and I think that people should be able to own a gun for self-defense. Absolutely. Now, obviously, should there be a background check and other regulations? Of course. But from an ideological perspective, that's what I think. And so, yeah, bro said prefer no guns like a woman. Well, the thing is that women are the biggest victims of not having guns. If you're a woman and a guy wants to take advantage of you, unless you have a gun, it's going to happen. That's just the way it is. It's because men are bigger and stronger and faster than women, and women are sitting ducks compared to a man. That's just how it is.
Got it. He got the weapon, and I have no idea, but just looking at that footage, it looked like maybe he didn't know how to use the weapon, because you see him just sort of struggling and not really shooting at the guy. So that's another issue that we can talk about.
Agreed. Either that or he chose not to take his life, unlike the Islamist terrorist who opened fire on these thousands of people or hundreds of people on the beach. So either it was a moral decision to not end his life and let God sort that out.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. He should have shot him in the head. Everybody would be better off if that guy was dead. Like, I don't believe any of this moral bullshit. The guy's a fucking parasite. He's a mass murderer. If somebody just shot him in the head, the world would be a better place instantaneously. We don't need these people. None of this like, oh, well, God has to make that decision. Well, he's going to. After you kill him, maybe he goes to heaven or hell. It's crazy. Would you shoot? I don't like saying the answer is yes, because I think that it's such an emotional, serious thing that a person saying that they would do that is, like, in my opinion, talking shit, because it's, like, so serious and so real that I wouldn't really want to say yes. But, like, theoretically, like, if I was in a clear mind, would I shoot them? Absolutely. Absolutely, and I would hope everybody else in the whole world made the same decision I would.
Or it was he couldn't fire the weapon, or it was out of ammo.
But I think it's easier said than done.
Right.
Much easier said than done.
Thanks, Aaron.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian. So anyway, apparently they already knew who the guy was. And this is what's crazy. He was already known. See, it's not just our FBI, guys. They already knew it. That's crazy. Shoot to kill or incapacitate. Kill. Kill instantly. It's a murderer. It's a psychopath murderer that's opened up fire on a group of random people for no reason. He should be dead. Incapacitate, then you've got to take care of him.
So we're going to listen in to the very latest from Sky News in Australia right now.
This man sneaks up on one of the gunmen and wrestles the firearm away.
It's the most unbelievable scene I've ever seen. A man walking up to a gunman who had fired on the community and single-handedly disarming him. That man is a genuine hero.
Disarmed, the man retreats back to the walkway where the second gunman continues to fire. A shootout with police unfolds and the two men fall to the ground. These images show the men restrained with one receiving CPR.
Got him.
The threat contained after just a few minutes, but bodies of victims are left covering the ground, where moments earlier an event to mark the first night of Hanukkah was taking place.
It was full of ground. This is when I get banned for saying that. If I get banned for saying that I would kill somebody that's a mass shooter, or I would advocate for it, then I don't know what to say. I think this is a normal viewpoint that every normal person has. It is. It's obvious.
Parents and grandchildren.
There were bullets all around me. All I can do is scream.
Like Joe
Where's
Rogan.
my family? Where's my little girl? Where's my little girl? I saw her dancing for a second and she was gone. I actually had a police officer drag me out. He was shot in the head.
And then once the shooting stopped, I went out, tried to help people. I was just covering bodies because there was people dead.
I can assure the community it will be met with a massive, comprehensive police and public order response.
Why you always lying? Oh my, shut the fuck up.
Our heart bleeds for Australia's Jewish community tonight.
With multiple investigations now underway, both New South Wales Police and Australia's security agency ASIO have confirmed one of the shooters was known to them.
One of the...
Okay.
Individuals was known to us, but not in an immediate threat perspective. So obviously we need to look into what happened.
Well,
here.
what does that mean though? How? So you knew about him, but wait a second. So, wait, what?
As part of the investigation and shortly after the shooting occurred, police located a vehicle in Campbell Parade at Bondi.
Yeah.
Which we believe has several
a later threat. Yeah.
Explosive devices. We have our rescue bomb disposal unit there at the moment working on that.
These communities should not live in this terror. And tonight I was at an event where I was saying to members of the Jewish community,
they're always known. Yeah.
Isn't it?
And that's the point, right? Is that, again, if they knew this guy was a problem, why was he out there doing this stuff? Why was he even out of jail to begin with?
Isn't it great that we are ending the year on a high after such a devastating start to the year?
It's going to get even worse next year. It's going to get even worse.
And here we are.
An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian.
Obviously.
And every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack.
Is it protected class? Yeah, that's the thing. Is it until people remove the shackles of an ideology and vocabulary that's made to subvert their power and subvert their autonomy and subvert their safety, until people can hear the words, oh, Islamophobic and racist and laugh at them, until that happens, we're going to continue having these shootings. We're going to continue having these problems. It's because people still are allowing themselves to be governed by emotional messaging. The moment that we stop allowing ourselves to be governed and controlled by emotional messaging is the moment that you can take back your country and you can hold people accountable. Now, in my opinion, if the police knew this guy was problematic and they didn't do anything, I find it to be very hard to go after people retroactively, but I would definitely be the kind of person that if the police let somebody like this go and then they did something bad, I would have charged the police and the people that made that decision with being an accessory to the crime and put them in jail too. I think that there's so much suicidal empathy and narcissistic pathological empathy that's being given to these terrorist animals. and not the actual people that are the victims, that we need to put the people that are allowing them to be terrorist animals also in jail. We need to go even farther. Common sense, exactly. Criminal negligence, 100%. Karenocracy is the ultimate form of bloated bureaucracy. Yeah, especially when there's clear evidence that they'll do it again. Yes. How are you going to predict what they're going to do? Simple. Somebody's talking about killing everybody, just put them in jail. Yep, put them in a mental institution right there. Problem solved. Yeah. It's easy. What do you mean?
On our way of life.
For now, Australia's terror threat level remains unchanged at probable.
I don't see that changing at this
National Terrorism Threat Advisory System. Jesus Christ.
Stage. Probable means there is a 50%.
What if they're joking? So, I'm just going to pull this up and let's do a little bit of thinking. What if they're joking? Do people joke about killing the president? They don't really, do they? I do. I don't really think so. I very rarely see somebody, please no ban. Go back, so not in public? Yeah, exactly, not in public. Yeah, Cheezer did. I don't know what Cheezer said. I'd have to go back and see. I think that in general, people do not threaten the president. I don't see a lot of people that are making comments about killing the president on social media. The reason why is because they know that if they do that, they will be arrested. That's the reason why. And so, I think that if you put a consequence out there, the people are going to stop behaving this way.
And chance of an act of terror, and unfortunately,
it's not an acceptable joke. Yeah, you just tell them they can't do it.
It doesn't matter what you call it, it's hate, and it's got to stop, and we have to stop it in its tracks in every way that we can.
Let me be clear. We will eradicate it. Amidst this vile act of violence and hate will emerge...
No, you won't.
A moment of national unity, where Australians across the board will embrace their fellow Australians of Jewish faith at this dark moment for our nation.
An enormous police and ambulance response, so rarely seen at this scale in Australia, continues into the night. Cameron Redden's Sky News.
Yeah, how do you know that one of these shooters is out there doing this and not doing anything about it?
Mark on our nation's history. And it is a day that will mean that Bondi is forever changed. I want to bring Alex Thomas, my colleague at Sky, back for more now. I mean, Alex, I just had a message from a friend, actually, who's not Jewish. But he said this isn't just an attack on Jewish Australians. This is an attack on Australia. So everyone's feeling it.
Yeah, and Australia's got a certain reputation across the globe, and I feel like as someone who's been living and working here for the last couple of years, been married to an Aussie and known her for...
Yeah, I mean, this is it. I mean, let me see here. What is it? There are still 2 assassination attempts. I don't think it'll solve this 100%. I think that I don't think that they have been even remotely as tough and as brutal as I think they should be towards online radical speech. Like the online radical, like, oh, all the people talking about like, oh, we should do this and we're going to kill these people and whatever. Like all those people need to get locked up. Like that's the problem is that, and I think the assassination culture that happened, I think it's very simple why it happens. It happens because it's allowed. If you allow something to happen, it's going to happen. The moment that you stop allowing it, it goes away.
The best part of 20 years, I had regular visits here. It has dented that image to a large extent. I just had a message on my WhatsApp group from a relative friend of a friend, a Mexican national and a young lad who had to run for cover, who was on the beach.
There's so many people talking about it. Exactly.
His personal tale, and we've heard so many today. But
yeah, it's easy to find them. It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Visitors that come to Bondi for its reputation. International.
They're censoring people talking about this? I don't think so.
Because of its reputation.
I haven't seen that.
not only will this make global news headlines, but the anecdotal tales will also spread through those local networks and communities.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's easy.
Death toll's already 16.
Well, I think we've done a good job of expressing the gravity of the tragedy, and quite right too. But we need to put things in perspective, and there'll be time for that in the days ahead. Australia is still relatively a very safe place to live. I know another...
Somebody says, who defines radical speech? Don't be so open-minded your brain falls out. We're talking about advocating the killing groups of people. Or advocating for killing certain people. Just stop it.
Pom living here, who's actually a former SO19 officer. So that's the armed officers for the Met Police in London. He was personal security for 2 UK Prime Ministers, Boris Johnson and Theresa May. And since coming to live here with his young boys, says you can't compare London and Sydney, for example. Sydney is so much safer. So for those who are concerned, shocked, saddened, yes, feel those emotions, but don't start thinking that Australia is now a scary place to live with imminent danger. I know there'll be people in the Jewish community who feel differently and have every right to, and that was acknowledged by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. And that is the large question, the unanswered one that we can't answer yet, about what is done. Is it legislation? Is it...
You have to do things that they're afraid to do. If you want to solve this problem, this is a very easy problem to solve, but it will require a solution that I don't think the public is ready for. That's the issue. And I don't think they're even close to ready for it, if you want me to be honest. I don't think so. I used to think so a little bit. But after seeing this year, I don't think that we're as close as I initially believed. I don't think so. Say it? Well, I already did. I've been saying it for a while. Like, we need to reopen mental institutions, and we need to institutionalize a tremendous amount of people in society. We have to also criminalize this type of behavior and this type of discordant, psychotic, violent speech, and we have to put the people that are in jail. Like, it's why I said the 2% rule. Like, this is the big thing. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think that we should take 2% of our population. Right now, we have 0.7% of our population in prison. I think that we need to up that number to 2%. We need to take a gross number of 2% of the population, and we need to imprison them indefinitely. And we do that into prisons, we do that with mental institutions, and we do that with rehabs, right? For like crackheads, for criminals, and for crazies. That's what happens. And if we, and I do really believe this, why at 20%? Because 2% are where all the problems come from. All of the problems come from like a very, very small percentage of the population. If you get rid of all of these people and you just effectively take them out of society, we will be living in a utopia, in a paradise that you cannot even believe. You will be able to go to Walmart and nothing will be locked up. You'll be able to go to CVS and you can just buy hairspray without talking to the person that works there in order to unlock the jewel case. You can leave your bike out somewhere and you're not going to get robbed. You can just walk down the street at night and there's never going to be any issues because all of the people that caused the problems are going to be in jail. That's it. It's actually that simple. Like, it really is. It's literally that simple. And then you force all of the people that are in jail into manual labor in order to have them pay for their own, their own stay there. And so that's the way you do it. El Salvador did it. Where are you going to put 7 million people? Well, you build new jails and you put them in there. And if you don't have, and the thing is, like, Rome wasn't built in a day. So what I would do in the intermediary is I would just double the amount of cell population, right? I'd say like, okay, well, if there's 2 people in a cell, now there's going to be 4 people in a cell. Or there's 2 people or 1 person in a cell, now there's going to be 2 people in a cell. And that's it, right? And so if that's a problem, like, I don't know what to say. So no jails, labor camps around the world? Yeah, and that would actually solve the problem. What do you respond to people calling this authoritarian? It's going to work. It'll work. It'll work just fine. I don't care. I don't think about labels. I think about effects and ideas. Your idea of, oh, well, I'm going to figure out the thing that you said, and then I'm going to assign a bad word to it, and that way it's wrong. No, you're like, I don't care about that. It doesn't matter. Like, every law to a degree is authoritarian. Like, that's just some kind of like bullshit concept. It's like a philosophy. All of these philosophies that people have are worthless garbage. Literal worthless garbage. The reason why is because their philosophies can't actually stand up to real life examples and real life scrutiny. Good philosophy can be applied to real life. Bad philosophy can't. That type of philosophy cannot be applied to real life. They literally get people killed. Criminals should have rights, but never to the detriment of non-criminals. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, like, we want to do something to make things better for them if we can, but it's just simply not the priority. So that's it. What's your response to people using prisoners for labor cruel and unusual punishment? Well, it's not cruel and it's not unusual. And even if it was, I'd be okay with it. But I don't think that it is. The truth is that how is it unusual if we've had slavery for thousands of years? Is it really unusual if we've been doing this for the entire history of humanity? That doesn't seem unusual to me at all. And also cruel, I mean, how is it that people say solitary confinement is cruel and also making somebody work is cruel? Like, which one is it, really? I think that giving a person something that they want to do, or that they have to do, giving them a purpose in life, is better than making them just sit in the box all day. And also, we can make some money out of them. I think that also you're going to have guys that do that, and they will develop skills. They will develop a degree of competency, and it will be something that they can do that has a value to their lives whenever they're sitting there in jail, which is a good thing. Yeah, I mean, it's probably better for them emotionally, too. Yeah, so I think it's actually the opposite. And I'm sure some of them won't want to do it. That's too bad. But the majority, I think it'll be good for. Who cares? Stop labeling these people animals is what I say. Oh, I'll stop labeling them as animals whenever they stop behaving like animals. The truth is that I think it's important to label them as animals. That way, you don't make the mistake of treating them like people. Because if you make the mistake of treating them like people, they will kill more people. You have to recognize things for what they are, not what you want them to be. And if you recognize them for what they want them to be, you will put other people's lives in danger and you will hurt other people. Apparently, he's already blaming Israel. Not a second is wasted for victims to mourn their loved ones. Instantly, Israel's envoys demand persecution of anti-genocide protesters worldwide. They blame the bare minimum recognition on Australia has to offer to Palestinians. Let's watch the clip and see what's being said.
You've just said, Ms. Haskell, that governments around the world, including the Australian government, could have done more.
Yeah.
To tackle anti-Semitism. What would you have expected them to do to prevent or anticipate this kind of attack?
Well, fight racism, fight violence against Jewish community, fight racism in workplaces as strong as possible. Look, when you see those hate march in the streets, whether it's London or Sydney, and in the same...
This is the reason why Hassan is worried. It's because when 2 Israeli ambassadors were murdered by a terrorist, a Free Palestine terrorist, Hassan had to put his chat in emote-only mode whenever he was reading the murderer's manifesto. And it was so bad that even in emote-only mode, they were spamming hearts. These are his subscribers because it's his emote. He has it on emote-only mode, and they're spamming his subscriber emote hearts about this person who had killed 2 Israeli, 2 Israeli diplomats. And it was even worse than this, because after that, that's when Twitch made the rules that you're not allowed to read shooter manifestos again. So Twitch, his chat was so bad that Twitch had to change the entire rules of the website. So that's the reason why Hassan is getting worried about this, is because his chat is ground zero for supporting this stuff. If you don't believe me, watch the VOD. Just go and watch it.
The Opera House, they chanted, gas the Jews, gas the Jews. Not even a single arrest. Not even a single person who had to...
She's right. She's completely right about this.
answer for that, but they try to cover that. When you hear them chanting to globalize the Intifada, what do you think that means? Globalizing the Intifada mean exactly that. To go on massacres, shooting people in the streets, to violently attack them. This is what it means. And if you let that continue and run in your street, waving flags of terrorists, pictures of people.
The judge enabled them. We had same protest happen here. Yeah.
Who murdered innocent children. You know, if you don't fight it in your silence, you actually support that. You just.
They do worse than that. They enable it because they think that it's on the right side of history. Seriously, get them all out? Absolutely. I don't hate the Jewish community, but we need to remove all influence from AIPAC. Otherwise, this is just going to get worse. I think that you're right about that. I think that a lot of the, and this is unfair, but I think that it should still be mitigated and it should be acknowledged that the amount of influence and impact that Israel has on, Western politics, it does absolutely cause people to become more bigoted. It does. And the ADL, yeah, 100%. And this doesn't have it, but really that doesn't have, globally, Jews don't have a shared accountability of the actions of AIPAC, the ADL, or even Israel. It's not like every Jew has to explain why Israel does something. It's crazy to even think that.
Justify that. And to globalize the Intifada means exactly that. A terrorist attack on a beach in Australia where Australian civilians are being murdered and killed. This is what it means. So when you hear that, start acting, enforcing.
Well, yeah, you just enforce the law. The problem is we don't need any new laws. We just need the current laws to be enforced. This isn't about Jews. It's about Israel. We definitely can't separate the two. We can't definitely separate the two. We absolutely can. You absolutely can separate the two. And whenever you go around killing random Jews, then you are no longer protesting Israel. Are you retarded? What do you mean by that? Then why does Israel take ownership for everything for the Jews? Those are like terrorists using the children as shields. You're not wrong, but that doesn't. What is that? What are you adding to the conversation by saying that?
Persecuting, punishing.
I think that we already said that.
People understand this is absolutely unacceptable.
It's nuts.
No racism, no violence will be accepted, not in Australia and not in the UK either.
I don't care about the racism. That's whatever. But I do care about the violence. That actually matters. So yeah, ignore it. It goes one way. Yeah, exactly, right? And it's just crazy. Telling me people are retarded? Yeah, I guess so, right? And but is it acceptable to kill 30K kids? Well, I'm gonna pull you up. Can I ask you a question? What the fuck does an Australian Jew have to do with Israel? What the fuck do they have to do with it at all? Why are you even bringing up the actions of Israel? These are people that are getting massacred at a beach. What does Israel have to do with this at all? He left the chat. He ran away. He roached out? Did he really? Oh, no, here we go. And it's wrong, but it's so horrible. Why are we not condemning every action of this kind? Who says we're not condemning it? Okay, I'll let this person explain it a little bit more. Well, people in your chat don't seem to care about kids dying in Gaza, but this is horrible. I'm just saying the contrast is so crazy on the opinion. People in my chat don't seem to care about kids dying in Gaza? How did you decide that? What made you decide? Why do you think that people in my chat don't care about kids dying in Gaza? Where's your justification for that? What do you mean by that? I think that the majority of us, this is the way I feel. Yeah, of course I care. I read the chat. Yeah, so do I. So what do kids in Gaza have to do with a murderer going out and killing people at a beach in Australia? Why are you even bringing that up? What does that have to do with it at all? Can you explain that? Yeah, why are these two things related in any capacity whatsoever? Because it's so horrible what happens in Australia, but when it happens in Gaza, some people seem to have a different view. What? Because it's so horrible when it happens in Australia. Yeah. So is it not horrible? Like, I don't even understand this. Like, why does it have to be either or? Don't ban. I just love discussions. This isn't a discussion. It's not a discussion at all. Like, why are you even pretending like this is anything that's related? Like, what's happening in Gaza has nothing to do with some psycho going out in Australia going on a shooting rampage. The way that Gaza is approached by anybody has nothing to do with that. By implying that there's a connection, you are implying that there is a level of blood accountability that Australian Jews have for something that happened in Gaza. Because that's the only, like, there's a million things. It's all horrible. I'm saying media is downplaying what's happening in Gaza, but this is on every first page, bro. I'm saying the contrast is weird. The media is downplaying what's happening in Gaza? Are you kidding me? No, they're not. Also, yeah, this just happened. This literally happened today. So, of course, they're going to talk about this today because it just happened. It's breaking news. Yeah, what about Ukraine? Exactly. And also, like, why is it that Gaza is somehow... Actually, let me ask you something. Why is it that Gaza is uniquely connected to this specific thing? Because there's kids dying all over in Sudan, Africa. I'm sure kids have died in Ukraine. There's probably wars in other places, probably in Africa right now. Why is it that it's in Gaza? I'm definitely not saying Australian people have anything to do with Gaza. If they don't have anything to do with Gaza, then why are you bringing it up? Like, you look at Sudan. Sudan's another genocide, and it's happening right now. So why aren't you bringing up Sudan? Why are you bringing up Gaza specifically? I'll tell you why you're bringing up Gaza specifically. I don't want to deal with this anymore. It's because you want to assign a collective guilt to Jewish people and then compare it to something that Jewish people have done that's bad in the other side of the world. That's the reason why you're doing it. That's the reason why you used Gaza as an example. And you didn't use Sudan or anything else. It's obvious. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Should have been a perma. It probably should have been. That brainwashed to hate Jews. Well, it's just like, again, he's basically saying that we need all those flags in our bio and collect them like Pokemon. Yes, of course. And also, like, yeah, it's justifying exactly. It's so ridiculous. And, yeah, Hassan is worried about this because he's probably worried about getting in trouble for it. Because his community is ground zero for, like, negative anti-Semitic things like this. And if anybody disagrees with me, watch his chat on the day that happened. Watch his chat with him reading the manifesto. That is undeniable. And I'm sure that he could come back and say, oh, but your chat said W-Nazis or something said Hitler was based. Here's the difference. The majority of those people were not my subscribers. They were just random viewers. And also, those people got banned. I wonder if the people in Hassan's chat got banned. That's the difference.